Welcome. So today I have a bit of time to lightly unpack all of my diagrams and everything that I have been threading together on this channel since I first started last year at the end of 2024. I want to unpack this particular diagram that I just put out called Logan's Dream, which is a dream that was given to me by a user by the name of Logan. She reached out to me with this dream that she had, and I took about a week, I'm not sure entirely how long, but just to sit with it because I felt like it was definitely something that came to me on purpose, and it's a part of the larger thread of the conversation that I've been having with everyone in regards to the twin flame story on this channel, which centers around the two witnesses. And this has come to be probably the last missing biggest piece that ties into every single part of the storyline that I've been telling on this particular channel. And if you're just joining me, then you would know that what I have been teaching is there is a story about these two individuals, one male, one female. They are the original God Himself, herself energies, meaning that they are in human form. However, they have been incarnating into this earth realm as regular or appearing regular human form, but their soul's energy or their light energy is the original light mapping of those first two beings that not only laid out the mathematics and everything for the earth realm as I have displayed on this channel, but they are the original arcs of light of the divine masculine and divine feminine here. And that means that in the pecking order of souls, they are the mother and father of all beings in existence on earth. And their story, or what unfolded for me with their story, started in the book of Revelation 11. Okay, and this is a biblical scripture. I don't know, I was led to this particular scripture, but I grew up, understanding these scriptures on a base level, having been in church and learned all about a lot of these prophecies through my upbringing. So it was very easy for me to connect the story, having been going through this myself and learning the story through my psychic gifts. Okay. So I have tons and tons and tons of diagrams that prove over and over and over again the numerology and the numerical values of these people, everything in the web of life that has been created. And pretty much this story is about, on a world stage level, everything that you see, everything that you don't understand, all of the story that is put before you is centering around these two beings and keeping them apart. Okay. And the reason for that is multi-layered. And there's so many co-conspirators involved in this story, keeping these two witnesses apart, and their reasons. Okay, number one, we are going to have a reset, and these two individuals are key because they're the only people that can bring new light into this realm, because within this realm, it's a closed system. Energy can neither be created nor destroyed. So within this particular system, they're the only ones that have the genetic information and the utility to bring in a new photon light being. When you think about things like CERN, where they're doing the Higgs boson collision of those particles to try to create what they call the God particle, what you're looking at is them attempting to create new light or new photon light or new energy. This is supposed to represent the Big Bang. But it doesn't necessarily happen like that in this realm. What I teach is that energy can neither be created nor destroyed in this realm. So when you're talking about creating new photon light, that is simply not possible, because this system was set up with a failsafe that does not allow you to use more energy that is available here. So let's say you take a compound and you melt it down, or you turn it into a gas, you expand it or you decrease it. You're not necessarily creating new photon light energy. And on a quantum level, everything is light. What you're doing is using the current mathematics that have already been accounted for everything that already exists here. Whether you build up or you build down, you can build a house, you can destroy a house, but it's all the same materials. It's not new photon light. And where these people pose a threat is, number one, this woman in the storyline has the ability to birth a new child, which is the man child, as depicted in Revelations 12:5. And he is a new photon light being that comes into the realm to disrupt the mathematics. And his energy pushes into the realm and causes a solar flash, which is what you see coming to a moment right now with everything that's going on within the Earth's atmosphere. And everyone's noticing the shifts and all the different things that are happening, and they're not understanding, okay, what is this, even down to the anomalies of UFOs. So let's get into that because I have time to talk today. All right, so this is the convergence point that I have received from someone else as a major puzzle piece at the end of this, to understand ultimately the science of what has been done here numerically. And as I explained before, what you're looking at in the waking realm is a stage of numbers. Okay, so think about it as in when you have rapid eye movement and you are sleeping, what that is the inertia in the F equals ma, which is force equals movement and acceleration. So REM, when your eyes are moving back and forth when you are sleeping, you need a force in order for you to have the dream. That's why your eyes move back and forth. You need to be looking or moving. You need force in order for you to have some type of dream. In the waking world, the REM of the waking world is you looking back and forth at things. And a major reason why we have a world stage is so that you can look at these people, places, and things that are a series or a matrix of moving numbers. Now, you may say to yourself, like, that seems like a massive undertaking. It is a massive undertaking. However, if you yourself cannot survive a reset, okay? Or on the other hand, you want to have this world as a playground. You never want the reset to happen because that means that the material world is no longer. And that's where you have your dominion and you want to keep everything centered in this earth material experience versus us being able to ascend to the fifth dimension. Then your vested interest would be stopping these two from coming together so they never have this child, so this never happens, right? So of course that's going to take a massive orchestration because number one, everything in this realm is set symmetrically, okay? Meaning it's in the 369 Fibonacci formation. Everything is centered around harmonics, okay? Because this is a light simulation, and as I explained, there was a grid of light that was initially mapped out when this earth was created, and that grid of light has a math equation, okay? It is a Lycro number, 196 squares. It cannot be reversed. It's not palindromic. So you're talking about a storyline of these two people who set this entire realm up to move forward, to go in a loop, and what was supposed to happen was they were supposed to be together so that we could see this all the way through. However, you have a group of people that wanted to keep this realm without having the reset. They selfishly ventured to the crossroads to find an intersex being that they could venerate over this divine feminine primarily, okay? And they wanted to replace her with an intersex being, okay? And this particular intersex being is someone that is well known, is on the world stage. I have plenty of diagrams mapping this particular individual out, and a lot of people are going to be shocked and surprised at the fact that yes, this is true, okay? And the reason why she is as popular as she is and she is as large as she is because she did a destiny swap on the actual divine feminine, okay? The woman who actually has the power, the woman who actually is the Christ. And I know that there is a user on here that I kept seeing her videos pop up, and she would say that, you know, these two celebrities are after this one young lady who has all of this power, and you'd be surprised they want her power and they're after her. And I saw this lady's videos. I never saw it again, but I did see it come up on my For You page, and I thought that was very specific because I am actually the one that's carrying all of this out, okay? And a large part of why I do this is just to prove to myself that what was happening to me was actual factual. But her saying that was pretty much on the nose with everything that I've been uncovering. And this particular world stage play requires a large number of moving parts, people, places, and things. It requires a grid to be set up. Yes, that means businesses, names, street numbers. That means the people that you see on the world stage level, their birth dates. Everything has to be orchestrated very tightly in order to keep this timeline in order. And everyone has to be observing these groups of people or this stage to keep the dream that they're creating in the waking happening on that timeline. So you're talking about a completely false timeline that is engineered, and that goes from history, that goes from the present. Everything that you see, everything that you read, everything that you know is a part of this stage, okay? And there are people around you that participate in this stage, and they belong to different groups or sects. But ultimately, everything has been centered around ritually this numerical stage. And what I have spent my time doing from 2021, when I went through what I went through with this particular entity, and you know, I was pretty much in the fight for my life spiritually, and I had to go through basically spiritual warfare to figure out how to fight back. I went through that, came from 2021 to made it to 2023 where I gained Christ consciousness. I did the fasting, and that's when all of the truth started to open up for me. And my spirit guide, which is what I will call this particular individual, took me into full training mode on how to read this language. Okay, so I was not working alone. I had a partner that was helping me to understand this language. and speaking to me about what happens on the other side, because I'm not a part of any of these groups. Okay, so I had to learn the language, I had to learn what I was reading, I had to learn how to decode popular media, because it is literally a language that speaks over the head of many. You are watching the stage, but you don't understand the mechanics of the stage. And a part of my job has been to unpack this for not only my own personal storyline, so I can get to the bottom of who this individual is that's causing this rift in my life and the lives of many others, in order for them to do this massive destiny swap. And what you see with these two people is not love, okay? What you're seeing is the orchestration of love, and you're seeing the false or fake love, as Jamie Foxx called it, that is placed before you so that you can believe this within this world stage play or dream. But ultimately, it's about money. Some people are invested in not having the reset, and they're trying to figure out ways in order for them to, if it does happen, they need to have a soul, because you have to have a soul in order for you to withstand this particular reset. So the scientific process goes on behind closed doors in order to crack that particular code. And that's where you get all of your cover-ups on, what about the bloods? What about the blood? And what about the organs? And what about all these different things that they're looking into scientifically in CRISPR in order for them to figure out how to get the proper soul energy infused into a body. But as I explained before, that's simply not possible in this realm, because you can't create new energy. You're just working with the energy that exists here. And you had to be there in the initial mapping of the stars in order for you to have a soul within the body. That's just the way it works. It's in the grid, and you have to be a descendant of a specific bloodline in order for you to be a part of that light mapping system and have a soul. Okay, you have to emit teal, like Emmett Till. You have to emit teal, and that is the color. It's the Tiffany blue that basically determines your soul or your energetic frequency, and when the reset happens, whether you can be an energetic match for the sun's energy when that whole X-class solar flare goes off. So this piece is a tie into that, and you have all of these different co-conspirators involved, which are mainly the bloodlines. Okay, and this is why I teach on this channel that it's not about racism. That is a shield, and the shield is basically like someone who works as the face or does the dirty work for someone else, and they get paid basically to do it. A lot of what you see with these the White House and all these different things that are going on is shield work. Okay, it is to cover up the actual people who are involved. And the people that I present on this page that I'm talking about right now are the ones who are behind the face of the shields. We're talking about mask within mask within mask within mask to cover bloodlines, okay? And the bloodlines are like, they would be what you would call like the black nobility, and these are people that look just like me, okay, that from the beginning have been in collusion with different groups of people in order to create the illusions that we see before us, which is racism, which is why we stay so focused on this thing, not realizing that a lot of the orchestration that comes from that aspect is coming from people that look just like you. They're just using others as a shield to act out that part, so it keeps you confused and also keeps you from realizing that truthfully a lot of where you come from is where the power is. Your soul's energy is what matters more than anything else. It's not about skin color, it's about the soul that exists within your body. So you will never understand or know your power, and you'll never understand why you're hated, and you'll never understand why you go through all the things that you go through. And that is because they don't want you to know who is behind this. And I'm telling you right now, it is bloodlines. It is the people that you see on the world stage that are unassuming, that you think, oh yeah, they're talking about racism, and they say that they're experiencing racism, but they are not. Most of them are involved or in cahoots, and they know all these situations that go on. And a lot of that is staged in order to keep you in a seat of powerlessness and to keep you feeling angry and divided. It has absolutely nothing to do with any of those things. And the main crux of the story is those that have a soul, the two main witnesses that can realign everything once they come together, and that includes love. Okay, so the main problem in this realm is love and capitalism. Everything you see on the world stage, all of the negative news, all shapes around keeping love low and away. Okay, so you're wondering why we're having so many issues with people not being able to find a mate, not being in love, and you're doing all this trial and error with people that don't necessarily fit. It's because everyone has a twin soul, okay? There is scientific evidence to prove that photon light splits itself. It has two parts, okay? It can exist within two separate bodies, and what it does is it splits into a masculine and feminine polarity within two separate bodies. And those two individuals, they have an energetic frequency that can join together, and it creates a larger electromagnetic field or auric field when they come together. So versus you being with someone that their wave and their trough doesn't match your energetic frequency, you will be with that other part of your soul, which is a more powerful union. It's also a more love-based union because you're connected soul-wise, so you understand each other at your core. You only have one other part of your soul, and that is the biggest secret, and that is the biggest thing that is tracked and kept apart, because that is the goal, and everything else centers around that. You want to say that there's an agenda with on many levels to keep males and females away, or to keep them disoriented and believing that love is not real and it's not something that is possible? Absolutely, it is the biggest thing, because love is the highest vibration of all. And the biggest storyline is these two. Some people are involved for the money, some people just have the egos and they were willing to be sold and bought out so that they could experience wealth in this material realm, and they were willing to do whatever it takes. Hey, I'll take this name, I'll take this birthday, I'll play this character so I can have this portrayal of wealth and riches, all to steal from this main divine feminine, who she in and of herself in the bloodline story on the back end is the heir to the land. Okay, she's the one that owns everything. Him and her, they basically have the full rights to everything. So everything you see in front of you is just smoke and mirrors. And if you understand how to decode it, then you would know how to break the story down into its layers, understand who's involved, get all of the clues from the dog whistles that are thrown about, and then you would fully and truly understand the nature of what's actually happening, not what's put before you. This is the reason, and the reason why there's so much inversion. And I see a lot of creators coming up now, they're talking about the inversion, and they, in Hollywood and all this other stuff. The reason is that everything has to be the opposite, and it's not necessarily about LGBTQ. It's more so about changing those dynamics so that you have a opposite polarity. Okay, so you present everything and it's all ritual. And this ritual is not done just on a person level. It's done on an earth level. It's done with the trees. It's done with the temperature, the time, the calendar. Everything in this realm has been changed and shifted to fit this narrative and to mold the environments for these two people that you are seeing before you today. And yes, it is that deep. People who follow these people who love them to death, I'm sorry to tell you that you are following an illusion and you are following the wrong crew.